here is our criteria, things that need to be done in order to be successful, or the requirements for your solution. Constraints are our limitations, okay? So we needed to fill out each one of these 6 items to see if they are criteria or constraints. So for those of you with green checks, I need you to tell me in the chat to help these people with red X's. This first one, solution is supported by research and will potentially decrease the effects of CCD. Is that a criteria or constraint? I should see my green check people typing in the chat. Most of you should know this. We had this on our test from last week as well, and we reviewed it extensively. Okay, Abby is here, Summer's here, Nani's here, Kaylin is here. Where are the rest of you? Let's go. All right, criteria is correct. Number 1 is criteria. It's something that the solution needs. It needs to be supported by research, okay? All right, the second one, it is safe for beekeepers to administer. Is that criteria or constraints? I want to see these chat bubbles going, guys. All right, those of you giving me answers, thank you. We have criteria again. Good. It needs to be safe for beekeepers to administer. That's not a limitation. We're not being limited. It's a requirement. It has minimal effects on other species. What do you think, guys? Criteria or constraints? Criteria again. Awesome. Okay, next one. Addresses cultural, social, or aesthetic concerns on the human community. Requirement or a limitation? Criteria or constraint? All right, here we go. Good job, guys. Criteria. Good. Again, this was on our test, so if you haven't taken your test yet, shame. But here are some answers for you as well. Okay, is low cost a criteria or is it a constraint? Ooh, you guys were on it. Good, good, good. Constraints. Good job, because it says the cost of the materials right there in the box for constraints. And our last one is technology to administer the solution needs to be currently available. Is that a criteria or a constraint? Good. I'm glad you guys are paying attention when we went over this. So, okay, it looks like you guys have the answers. So for those of you with red check or red X's, I need you to give me a green check when your table is filled out. You have 30 seconds.
All right, so we are jumping into our design solution now. So this is table 1. And we're going to give you time now to go back to your research. What was the topic that you were the most interested in when you looked at those potential causes of colony collapse disorder? So we want you to go back to your research chart. If you need to go open it up, go open it up. And you choose one of those potential causes that you've researched that you have evidence for that says, yes, it does support the colony collapse disorder. You can have 2 topics, Nani, but we only want you to choose one to brainstorm your solution about. So it's okay if you have 2. You just need to pick one that you like the best. Okay? So one that you like that you're like, oh, I can figure out how to solve this. Like it gives you some very specific understanding of it, whatever you want. And you're going to design a solution based on your research. Okay? You just need one statement right here. What will your solution be? So for example, my solution that I went over last week when we did these in class was I said that I was using the stress from transporting bees. So that was my cause. And so instead of transporting bees via truck from location to location to pollinate the crops, instead those bees will be transported via drone. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's a good idea. It's an idea that we can look into further and we can design a solution about. So that was my example solution, okay? So what you need to do is give yourself a couple minutes, figure out what you want your example solution to be, and then you're going to write it in that top box. Also tell us what the research topic is that it's based on. So mine was bees transported via drone rather than by vehicle, and I would have said, and that's because of stress caused by transportation, because that was the cause that I was addressing. Okay, even if you don't think that they're good ideas, just write them down. This is just a chance for you to brainstorm and come up with a couple of ideas to think or to work with. I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to clear off your polling right now. I'm going to give you, okay. So after we've got our kind of solution for your idea solution, now you're going to just write it out like exactly how I just did for mine. If you haven't already done so, the stress cost from transporting the bees, that was my research topic, and then my solution would be transport the bees by a different means. And I already told you what means that would be, and that's going to be drone, okay? Now, is this the only solution? What did you guys come up with for your solution? Give me your in the chat, like just copy and paste what you wrote down in the chat for me so we can get some different ideas coming. First box done. So our next goal, again, I just added mine on, made it a little bit more specific, excuse me. And then our next goal is to figure out what evidence we have, okay? So we want to make sure that you're pulling evidence that matches. So go back to the evidence quote, the quote that you took, okay? So open your research document, find the copy-pasted quote, and then rewrite that quote in your own words. That's your evidence for why you're researching or you're going to design this solution like that, okay? So literally, pull up the quote you copied and rewrite it. If that doesn't quite align, maybe you might need to go back to that article and find a better quote. But whatever you write here, that's your evidence, and it should be in your own words. Okay? I'm going to give you until the 2-minute timer on there. So you've got 90 seconds to get your evidence copy-pasted, written in your own words, how we're going to do it in this box right here. Okay, so we're going to have the next 5 minutes for you guys to identify your criteria and constraints. So this part right here, you guys, I have them highlighted here. Right here, you're looking at the criteria and constraints that your solution would address, okay? So you need to go back to that chart that you filled out right at the top. The table is the first thing we did, identifying the criteria and constraints. Figure out which criteria addresses your solution. So if your solution is supported by research, which all of these should be, you would put that as one of them. You would identify as many as you can that are addressed. So if you have more than one, you're going to write down more than one. If you think yours only really hits one criteria, then you're just going to list the one criteria. Then you tell us why. So the explain why is your own opinion. How do you think your solution hits that criteria? And then you do the same exact thing for your constraints. So go back to the constraints list. There's only 2 of them. So then you answer the question, which constraint does your solution address? If it only addresses one, awesome, write down that one. If it addresses both, include them both. And then you, again, explain in your own words why or how. Okay? Does that make sense, you guys? Give me a smiley face. So, you should have your topic done. Your evidence should be here. Criteria and constraints should be in the 3rd box. And then the last box down here, this is your prediction. It is not right or wrong. There is no right or wrong answer. This is just your prediction of what will happen if this solution that you proposed gets implemented. So if we were, if we were to use your solution, how would it play out? So just use the sentence stems that we provided. I think there's 3 of them there to answer each of the questions that are here. How will it solve the problem? What factors would still remain? And are there any criteria and constraints that are not addressed? So that's what you'd want to answer right here in this box. And again, this is just your prediction, your understanding. Okay? Any questions about this assignment and what you need to have done before you come to class at 12 today?